Hi, everybody. I'm Manny Martinez, the president of Relentless Leadership LLC Crestcom. And once again, I have the privilege to be with the one and only Andy Fell, Gift 631 founder. Hi, Andy.
Hi, Manny. Trust you are amazingly well.
Yes, absolutely. I'm enjoying the wonderful sunshine and the yellow flowers behind me. This is the field, the Palouse region of Eastern Washington, excuse me. This time of year, everything's in season and in bloom, very large wheat growing area. How are things over in Australia for you?
Well, we're going the other way. We are obviously heading towards winter, but here on the Gold Coast, it's beautiful, 365 days of the year. So yeah, it's another absolutely wonderful day. Energy's good, attitude's good. People are really thinking about the next phase of life.
Fantastic. Yeah, speaking of phases of life, I know we want to have a conversation about leaders, particularly the type of leaders that influenced our lives. So I wanted to open up that conversation with you, Andy. I know you have a wonderful amount of experience in the business world and the coaching world. I want to ask you, who's been your most influential leader, and can you tell me a little bit about why is that?
Yeah, great question, Manny. And my story builds to my most influential leader. So very early in my career, this is when I was living in the UK, I was an executive assistant and I worked for the managing director very early in my career. And that was an amazing experience because I learned a lot about big thinking. I learned a lot about strategy. I learned a lot about the way things were done in the boardroom, but also outside the boardroom. And really understood or began to understand the world of influence and negotiation, formally and informally. Then I moved on to work for an incredible guy called Mike Gcott. And Mike taught me everything about people, about culture, about how fun is the most important F word in business. And Mike taught me, for example, simple things like every leader can find 15 minutes a day to say thank you. And so I really started to think about a praise, a recognition, and celebration culture. So I had Tony, then I had Mike, but then I went to work for this guy, Malcolm McDowell, who became like a second father to me. I worked for Malcolm for about 10 years, from 1993 to around 2003. And Malcolm was the guy who, he put me in a coat that was too big. So he took a chance on me and he put me into my first senior leadership position. And he gave me the space to really grow into that coat. So there's something there for me about trust, about understanding the risk of winning and being bold and taking courageous decisions. He used to send me a handwritten card at the start of every new financial year. And his language, for example, would be, one year he quoted Helen Keller saying, "Life is a daring adventure or nothing at all. Welcome to 1996, 1997. And that was Malcolm's whole philosophy about life and business. We're not going to die wandering. We're going to give absolutely everything our best shot. So he always thought big. And he created really high-performing teams. And we used to describe ourselves, Manny, as being like the Red Arrows, which in the UK, they're the Air Force display team. So these bright red aircraft, they fly really high, they fly really fast. They fly in formation. And that was our philosophy. He'd say, guys, I want to create the Red Arrows of business, where we think big, we act big, we have pace, we have speed, we have urgency, but we fly in formation. Yes. This is not a team of solo pilots who are just all going in their own direction. This is about the collective is so much stronger than each of us individually. And that was Malcolm's whole philosophy about life and business. And I know yourself, Manny, obviously you had a long and a very distinguished career in the US Air Force. And there's me talking about the Red Arrows, but I know you'll have many, many great examples of superb leaders from your time in the US military. Why don't equally you share a story of who really influenced you and why?
Sure. Thank you, Andy. First of all, I love that fun, thankfulness, and grow into a greater potential by having big dreams. I loved all those different things you talked about. So I certainly, 30 years is a lot of haircuts in the Air Force. That's how I measured how much time I had, a lot of haircuts. But, but in the Air Force, certainly I worked for many wonderful leaders. I always go back to that first mentor I had, Doug Baird, Master Sergeant, retired. He was the kind of person that just his integrity and his level of servant leadership just oozed out of him. Just to give you an idea, I was 18 years old, first time away from home. I'm from Florida. I'm in North Dakota, very, very different world altogether. And I was looking for someone that I could look to and say, how do I live this Air Force life? Doug Baird was the epitome of what an Air Force senior leader was all about. His uniform was meticulous. It was a masterpiece. There was never anything out of place. He would call you over and say, let me look at your combat boots today. And he would compare his boots to yours. Oh, they look pretty good. Or, you didn't spend a lot of time over the weekend polishing them. And he did that in a very gentle way, though. He didn't necessarily make you feel uncomfortable. He challenged you. Are you going to look better than Doug Baird today? But it wasn't just his looks. It was also his approach. He had an air of approachability about him. People could come to him and ask questions about professional aspects of the Air Force. And he either knew the answer or knew how to resource or find the answers. People who were of higher rank than Doug Baird actually looked up to him. They would call him sir.
Wow.
He commanded respect through his image of integrity. But I want to share one thing about Doug Baird that really made a big impact in my life, besides the professional aspects that I wanted to follow throughout my career. And I would always think back in the Air Force and go, if I was stuck in a challenging moment to try to make a decision, I would think, how would Doug Baird handle this? And often I would find myself calling up Doug Baird, retired, hey, let me run something by you. And we had a tremendous relationship during those 30 years. But the one thing that stuck to me the most about Doug Baird, he invited me to his house for Thanksgiving the first year I was there. It was quite common to have a single person to be invited to a family's house to enjoy Thanksgiving meal. Thanksgiving's a big event in the US. What impressed me about Doug Baird was I walked into his house and his wife was sitting in the living room, feet up, relaxing. It's about midday. Doug Baird was in the kitchen making the Thanksgiving meal. Now, growing up in an environment where there was a very clear line between what men do and what women do in a Spanish country, that hit home really fast. Yeah. And I thought, what level of servant leadership, even at home, he gives his wife the opportunity to relax on a holiday, and he takes on the work of taking care of the family and feeding. That stayed with me my whole life. And guess who makes Thanksgiving turkey every year at our house? It just stuck with me because his level of integrity and service went beyond the uniform.
And I think listening to you there, Manny, it's that combination of being a real role model in all aspects of life and leadership, being very approachable, but also that servant leadership, that bias to helping others, to serving others. But I also believe you've absolutely hit on a fundamental part of leadership legacy, because exactly like yourself with Doug Baird, I would think the same. When I was in a particular situation, I would always think, well, what would Malcolm do? And that to me is legacy. The legacy of great leaders is that we put ourselves in their shoes before we make a particular decision or follow a particular course of action.
Yes. It's so wonderful that you've had the same experience, that you've had these people that have been in your life that have impacted you personally first and professionally second. Because it's about who we are as people first and what our values are. And then that's the foundation for how we present ourselves and the things that we do. I really believe that. And Doug Bear has always been the benchmark for me. The person I think back and go, am I really where I need to be? And when I would fall off the rails a little bit, be the first person I would think back to.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, Andy, this has been fun. I've enjoyed having this conversation with you. It's always a pleasure to meet with you virtually. One of these days, I know we'll get a chance to meet non-virtually and really, really, up close and personal, not even 6 feet of distance. We're gonna high five and I'm sure we'll probably first go on a run because we're these kind of people, that we get up in the morning and go for a run. So I look forward to putting on some running shoes and going on a run with you and just sharing some more amazing stories about leadership.
Brilliant. Here's the next conversation.
All right. Thanks, Andy. Take care.
Thanks, Manny. Take care.
Bye now.